Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Filmbusters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusterspod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters.
So let me recommend this app to you boys. It's called Dream Kit. Free. And it's for you to journal your dreams. So when you have a dream, you wake up in the morning, before it slips away, you write it down in this Dream Kit app. Okay? You give it a title, you describe it as much as you want, and you can add things like tag recurring characters, recurring places, the lucidity of the dream, whatever. Or you can do as much or as little as you want. But the cool thing, and it is AI, I'm afraid to say, but it is cool, is once you've written it, you hit the light bulb, and it gives you the Freudian analysis of the dream and the Carl Jung analysis of the dream. And I've only logged 3 dreams so far, and it is very fascinating. And obviously, it's not an actual therapy session, and it's not going to be 100% accurate, but there are things that it's saying, and I'm like, yeah, that probably does mean that. So I'll give you an example, shall I?
Let's hear it.
Okay. Arranging Nine Inch Nails concerts. Here is the dream. I was part of the logistics crew. I wrote this. Organising merchandise and planning for a series of Nine Inch Nails shows, I think. It was a big outside affair, but in my dream I was constantly shifting boxes of merchandise upstairs, mugs and t-shirts and stuff, and I was able to take 1 or 2 items for myself. Occasionally I would enter the wrong building, climb the stairs and realise I was in the wrong building and have to go back down again with all of the merchandise. A couple of the actors from Father Ted were there. I was worried about how sore my feet were going to be after doing this for many days. I was also trying to figure out where I was going to park the car each day. Right,
So that was a lot going on in that,
a lot of worries.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was worries, really. I was
more
only
like you're not doing a good enough job, or
Well, here's what it says. In your dream, the focus seems to be on... This is the Freudian approach. Seems to be on... I'm not going to read out the whole thing because there's loads, but this bit's interesting. Focus seems to be on the logistics and organisational aspect of the concert. The constant shifting of the boxes, climbing stairs, and the confusion of entering the wrong building suggest a sense of physical and mental effort required to manage the logistics of the event. This can be interpreted as a reflection of the demands and challenges you face in your waking life, perhaps in your professional or personal responsibilities. The presence of the actors from the television series Father Ted may represent a sense of familiarity or comfort amidst the chaos of the event. It could also symbolise a connection to the entertainment industry or a desire for a more light-hearted or humorous approach to your current situation. There's a bunch of other stuff after that, but I'm like, this is all super fucking interesting. Maybe not. I can relate to it.
Yeah, so it sounds very fun.
Do you remember a lot of your dreams then?
No, I don't. I downloaded it, and my first one I put in on February the 18th, and I've only had 2 dreams since then that I could remember enough to write down.
I think I probably remember about 1 a week max.
Yeah, like 2 a week or so. But the trick is, when you wake up, you have to try and get it in right away, because that's when it's freshest. Because if I hadn't written this dream down that I had last night, I don't think I would be able to remember it so vividly.
Yeah, I generally have the dream, and then I'd be waking up in the middle of the night, after the dream, and I'll be like, just go back to sleep. So the moment would have to be like, I need to write it down. So you have to have that in your head, don't you, to write it down.
Yeah. And the more you try and remember the specifics of the dream, it goes, doesn't it? It's elusive, because it only makes sense in the construct of your head. As you start to break it down, it goes.
That is great, though, because like these kind of things that you dream about, you would never, ever remember after 24 hours.
Exactly. I can't remember the dreams that I had a few months ago. So this is going to be interesting in a few months when I've forgotten these.
Yeah.
I want to see if there's a recurring theme. That's the key thing. If AI, terrible AI, but if it keeps telling me something, I'm going to look into it.
Father Ted.
Yeah, for sure.
Father Ted, yeah.
It needs a revival.
Yes.
And you're going to be the logistics manager of it. You're going to be
there you
production
go.
manager on the 5 of 10 revival.
There you go.
He's going to make all the mugs and the t-shirts.
I know. All their mugs. Anyway, folks, listeners, you boys, download it. It's free. Dream Kit. Get involved. Dream Kit.
Defo. I'm going to get Zoe to do it because she loves writing her dreams down.
It's all free.
Wicked.
You can give each dream a title like it's a movie.
And we are not sponsored by Dreamkit, everyone.
No,
Even though it sounds
but,
like it.
but if they want to.
If they want to. You got to point them in the direction of this podcast when we release it.
Yes, exactly. Tag them in, Paul. Tag them in when you
Will
release it.
Will do. Everyone, we're already here. It's the last film of our 1999 round. How about that? It feels like it's flown.
Wow. What a
I keep
year.
thinking it's 94, but
Yeah. That's where they got lost in the woods.
That's also when he started making Coven.
Oh, look. Everything's coming full circle. It's all making sense.
Yes.
maybe 94
It
was
is.
more important to 99 than it realised.
Yes.
Maybe.
Maybe the games in Any Given Sunday were based on 1994 football games.
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't know how to link Cruel Intentions. How do we link
Yeah.
Cruel Intention? I don't know.
And Summer of Sam was the 70s, so we're done.
Exciting stuff. But yes, today, our lovely Julio, our lovely, wonderful patron from the Contrarians, he said, hey, I've got an idea. I can jump on the back of your 1999 round as a bloody patron, as it's my right, and give you a film to do. And we're doing an American movie, everyone. This has been on the watch list for a long, long time.
I'd never heard of it at all.
I think it just came out of nowhere, considering it's so old. Like I probably added it like a few years ago when people were giving it such high ratings. And
Is it possible that it was like included in a best documentary ever type list? Maybe Letterboxd's
maybe.
best documentary list or something.
Potentially, yeah. But I was very much looking forward to watching it. So thank you, Julio. I might as well just plug our Patreon right here. We got a Patreon at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, where you can get all exclusive content, or you can do stuff like suggest films for us to do. Just like Jamie did, he kicked this whole round off.
We began with Summer of Sam.
Began with Summer of Sam, onto Cruel Intentions, then to the Blair Witch Project with wonderful Jamie, Any Given Sunday for that trash, and then finally we're here, American Movie. And that's a Proton pick. Our patrons get a wonderful choice just to throw a choice onto the end of any round we get to do. We just love giving our patrons perks.
Patrons perks and the Proton perks are the Proton picks.
Exactly. Look at that. And you can get all that at www.patreon.com/filmbusters. Should we move someone on to speaking about this film and do the staple of every episode?
All right, a quiz. Tell me the scores, please.
The scores are, you're on 4, you're winning. I'm in second place on 3. Adam, you're on 2.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's up for grabs, baby, because on one of these questions, it's impossible for me to score points because one of you two will take the points.
Lovely.
And I'll do that question second. First question. How many copies of Coven does Mark figure out?
3,000.
What if I hadn't finished the question?
Oh.
I was going to say, how many copies of Coven does Mark need to sell to make $45,000 to make Northwestern if he also wanted another $10 on top of that?
3,010. What a question.
Paul got it. Paul got it. It's correct. It's correct. It's 3,000. It's 3,000. So Paul's on 4. Well done.
Lovely.
4 for Paul, 4 for Ben, 2 for Adam. Now, which one of you is going to get the points? Paul could take over from me. It's time to test your memory, so Adam's sweating.
Okay.
You're going to take it in turns. Before I tell you what it is you're doing, decide who's going first.
I'll go first.
Okay. I want you to recount to the best of your ability the line that Mark keeps trying to get Uncle Bill to say for his movie.
Oh, shit.
So when Uncle Bill is sat in the car and Mark keeps making him say the line for his movie, to the best of your ability, try and recount what was said, and I'll decide which of you is closest. One of you will be closest.
You know when I said to you earlier I got my quote for the year, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I can remember roughly what it was. That was this.
Go on.
Come on, Adam. Let's hear what you got then.
Everything will be okay. Jesus told me so. We will be fine. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Impression number 1. You heard it, listeners. Number 2. Let's hear Paul's.
Okay. Don't worry. Everything will be fine. Jesus told me so. I don't know what the end bit was.
One of you is ever so slightly closer than the other.
Paul's closer.
Adam is closer.
Really?
Oh!
The line, I can't remember exactly what you said
Do the
now,
impression.
Paul, but Adam got it exactly. This was the line. It's all right. It's okay. There's something to live for. Jesus told me so. So Adam got the it's all right exactly, and he got the
Nice.
Jesus told me so exactly. Paul, you were very close because you were doing you were repeating that kind of it's all right, it's okay thing, but you weren't saying the words exactly.
I remember the repeating bit, but I couldn't remember what it was. Very good, Adam. Look at that.
Bonus points if you'd added the in the middle. Well done, Adam. So that's 4 for me, 4 for Paul, 3 for Adam.
Nice. Shaping up well.
Yes. Good work.
Good bloody work. Shall we go talk about American Movie?
Yes.
We've got to do it.
That was wicked, man.
His whole life is making this one film.
You have 2 hours tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and be an extra in a film.
You get your name on the credits, man, as a producer.
And of course, there'll be a whole crowd of people here, so we got to make like a line where people can't go. Have a hell of a lot of assistant directors saying, hey, could you step back like 5 feet? I think my mom's gonna have to end up going out in the woods.
I have my shopping to do.
Okay, you got to spread apart that way. All of the extras have just fell through, except for Mike Schenk right there.
We used to do a lot of partying together, but I don't party anymore.
Hey, Mike, make sure everyone has brown gloves.
Does everyone have brown gloves?
Oh, dude. I'm broke, man. I gotta get gas tomorrow. And dude's talking about making a feature film.
The name of the film is Coven.
Coven.
Coven, that's the proper pronunciation.
No, coven sounds like oven, man, and that's just, it doesn't work.
She wants to be in your film, Bill.
Oh my gosh.
You get your $3,000 back. It's the first line of the film, man. It's gotta be on the money.
It's all right.
Okay, I believe we can do this.
Right, everyone, today we're doing an American Movie from 1999. This is a spoiler episode, even though I don't know how you can spoil a documentary. I guess it was like major events that you don't know about, but that's what it is. If you haven't seen it, we're going to just talk about it and spoil everything that happens in the film. Obviously, there's been no one we've done before in a film. So, Adam, that leaves you to tell us what the plot is.
This plot is about a man called Mark. Is his name Mark or is it Mike?
Mm-hmm.
The name begins with an M, but it's Mark. And he's making a film, and he is a filmmaker in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where it's always snowing. And yeah, it's about him trying to make his films and his life.
So many serial killers come from Wisconsin as well.
Oh, really?
Fuck all else to do apart from go.
Something to do with that area of America, the weather, the climate. Ed Gein infamously was from there.
Wow. Good fact.
I'm pretty sure Making a Murderer was set there as well. Was it?
Someone I know, I can't name them in case of anything. His uncle killed, it's not a serial killer, but lived there and just killed someone with a shotgun randomly one day.
Interesting. Maybe this would be a better documentary than this.
Oof.
Thanks, Adam. You got any facts about this film, Ben?
Not too many, because it kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Apart from to say it was filmed between 1995 and 1997. It was the reason for making it was so that the proceeds of the film could go towards funding Northwestern, and that film still remains unproduced to this day.
Yep, exactly. Should we move on to our first impressions?
Let's do the first.
So this is a pick from Julio, so that means Adam, it's your right to tell us what order you want our first impressions in.
What do I pick?
I always give it to you.
Oh, okay. We'll do Filmbusters order because it's easiest.
Okay.
Go neutral.
Okay.
Let's have it.
Let's go neutral. We've had the BAP. Now we want the PAB. What a unique experience. It's, in all honesty, you would think this was actually just a mockumentary, like, because of the characters feel so stereotypical in ways, and the lines feel they're almost scripted, especially with, like, the comedy timing of some of them. And Mike, my God, you wouldn't even believe he's a real person. The passion, it's just so weird. But the passion for filmmaking and for film in general it's quite beautiful. It taps into the joy of just going out and making something for yourself. And it just harkens back to a time of wonderful creativity for myself, and like the creative ways of making a scene work, or bringing your little vision to life. It's just a real joy, and it's quite funny too. And another one that just makes you want to get out there and make something yourself, just like Blair Witch Project. So yeah, that's all I have to say. My first impressions. It was a joy.
A joy.
I mean, I agree with you in aspects there, Paul. It is so nice to watch someone's passion and their desire, and it not been taking a single knock. No matter all this stuff that's happening around him, he doesn't really come from a place that is, would say, inspiring. You know, not everyone in there wants to do anything. Everyone's just kind of happy living their lives, and yet he's in the middle of them all, trying to make his passions work, and kind of being infectious to all those people around them, like trying to bring out that spark in them. And yeah, some of the other characters in this are exactly like a mockumentary. It took me so long. I kept watching it and thinking, this has got to be taking the piss. Like, this has to be a mockumentary. Like, this is going to be better than any film he's trying to make. But I mean, overall, I thought it was just okay. I didn't really, I don't know, at the end of it, I didn't really care if he made the film or not. I didn't really, he was quite an inspiring person, but I don't think I was always rooting for him, if that makes sense. But yeah, it was a nice watch. I just kind of thought in my head, with Jamie giving this a 10 out of 10, Julio giving this a 10 out of 10, both making it their film of the year last year.
It hurt its efforts a bit.
Yeah, I really thought, okay, we're going to come in for something amazing here, and in my opinion, it was just okay.
Yeah, I mean, the 10 out of 10s, like, I haven't given it a 10 out of 10, but I very much enjoyed it. I agree that it's hard to quite clock the 10 out of 10, but I think it's totally, if the entire vibe that you both just said washes over you and you just love that so much, then that's why you would give it a 10. Personally, I didn't, because these are the reasons I didn't. I agree with everything you two just said there anyway, so I won't repeat it. But the reasons that I think then it suffers, the things that maybe hold it back a little bit for me, is I don't find, even though these people have a charm, I don't find them particularly likable.
That's what I mean. I wasn't really rooting for you. I wasn't like, come on, you need to make this the best film ever.
I mean, I was rooting for him. No, don't get me wrong. I was rooting for him, absolutely. But I was like, I don't use Blair Witch as an example. Those characters who were fictitious but were playing real people, I liked them, and I was with them on their whole journey, more so because I really liked them. Here, I didn't really gel with these people as much because they're all such oddballs, which is cool and fine, but it meant I wasn't really on their journey, even though I could see myself in the creative endeavors of filmmaking, and like, that is just such a joy and whatnot. And I really loved the film. I really did enjoy it. I'm just trying to say why I didn't think it was incredible. I think overall it's just the fact that ultimately what we are watching, and this is the beauty of it, we were watching an amateur filmmaker back in the day, 1999, where it was far less easy to do so. Nowadays, it's too easy to do it. I have no interest in seeing this film made about a amateur filmmaker now, because it's too fucking easy.
When they were editing it at the end, they were literally going through frame by frame on the reel.
Oh, it's
like,
unreal,
fuck me, man.
Yeah.
Like,
splicing out and then trying to go back in and find the tiny frames that had been cut out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
that was almost more fascinating than the actual documentary itself. That kind of element of it, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it doesn't really matter about Coven or Coven, because I don't. Here's what I think without having seen Coven. It's obviously going to be a bad film. But I will defend to the death his right to make that fucking film and admire and applaud his efforts, because half of the joy is in the making. More of the joy is in the making. From my experience, the films that I've made, I've enjoyed the end product, but the joy is in the making of them.
Absolutely.
It's the doing of it.
Yeah, yeah. But from my own experience, I Like I made loads of little random short films, especially with my brother, and I made a little like zombie trilogy, and that was like all my family and some of my brother's friends just going out into a field and into the forest and just making something work. It's not even necessarily scripted. It's just, let's see what we can do on the day, and it's just and that is a core memory, and it's just the joy of going out there and trying to do something and making use of your time. It's just a wonderful thing, just sparking that creative flair.
What I like about this guy is that pretty much nobody believes in him. Not that they don't believe in him, but they all think this is fucking stupid, whether it's Uncle Bill or his dad or his mum or his siblings, like his family. Like you're saying you had a family affair, which is great, but this guy, no one in his family, even though he was getting money from Uncle Bill and even though he got Uncle Bill in it and whatnot, everyone in his family were like, this is bullshit, man. Yeah. It was
especially
only
his dad.
Especially his dad. But this is the beautiful thing was in creativity, he found his family, the crew, the people, like the people. This is very, very much the creative life, the art life. If you are into these things, the people will find you and you will find them. And these will be your people for life.
That's what I meant. He didn't come from a place that was an inspiring place. We wasn't have people around him who were all doing the similar things. He was the one who raised up and then kind of created it around him. He created that little world that he was in.
He created that world, and like people were in awe of him, even though they were like, "You're ridiculous. This is stupid." But they were in awe of what he was doing, because that's the bottom line. Is this is what's very relatable for me. I have a large section of family who would never understand why I would want to do a podcast or make a film or anything like that if it wasn't for money. Like, why would you do it if you weren't making money? In fact, most people say that shit. And I know that he was obsessed. Well, he wasn't obsessed. He was only worried about money in this film so that he could finance Northwestern, right? It wasn't because he wanted to get rich. He wanted to then make the next movie. And that is what sung to me from this film. It's like, this is why, even though you are so opposite to me in many ways, your way of life, the way you conduct yourself is so opposite, I connect with you because we're on that fucking wavelength where we just need to do it. That's all. We have to do it because we want to be fucking creative. And that it's a very David Lynch way. It is like a David Lynch child prodigy. Completely different dynamic, but very much the same ethos, which is create something beautiful.
And also, like he kept saying throughout it, like he could not he could not do a 9-to-5 job, no matter how poor he was his whole life. He could just not do it. And he had to be doing this. He'd rather have nothing and make sure he's doing this, which is very inspiring. But I just think the documentary just lacks something beyond that. And I've said it, like, then we're giving it 10 out of 10. I thought, it's really going to have another dimension to it. It's going to have another element in it that really takes this above everything else. And it didn't, to be honest.
I wonder, Adam, because you're not someone who's ever gone out there and made any film or anything like that.
Yes, what you're going to say, I agree with.
Yeah, nothing like this. Yeah. It is nice to watch. I'm just trying to find what separates this documentary from the rest. In my opinion, that's why we're bringing it to this podcast. It's like, okay, in my opinion, it's kind of just there on the screen. And if I watched this without you guys or anything else being involved, I wouldn't really... Let's go get the door. Wouldn't really remember it. But yeah,
Adam's so fucking busy, man. And Adam, this is why, folks. This is why Adam struggles with it a little bit, because he is too busy. He's working his job. He's got a lot of 9-to-5 commitments. He's got a lot of professional commitments. The modern world has caught up with Adam, and these things matter. He's not able to just sit back and be like, this is what I'm going to do for now. Everything else can go on pause. I'm going to do this.
I do think that the fact that he has never really had a passion for filmmaking, like the practical fact of filmmaking. I think that passion has to be burning for you to kind of relate to what this guy's going through. Yeah. So, sorry, my fucking phone's ringing now. Sorry, I don't want the vibration to be in the...
This is perfect example, folks. This is perfect example. It's almost like this was meant to be. My doorbell will go in a minute as well, and it was meant to be for this episode because it's a reminder to stay the course.
Yes, carry on.
Focus on your creative pursuit. Doesn't matter what anyone else is saying or doing, whether you have their belief or not.
I've immediately silenced the phone. I will not be picking that phone up, unlike Adam, he needs to go address that doorbell. even though
Yeah,
Chelsea's right there. She could have answered
I know.
it.
Adam is still at that doorbell having a long old conversation right now.
It's the fucking window cleaners that turned up and they need the gate opened. And then
Oh, you were chatting away with the window cleaners.
yeah, I know. And then now the dog's kicking off because there's people in the garden. You got to lock him away.
You need to get involved in the art life. Let me just go back to something that you said, though, Adam, about the documentary and something else. Isn't it true of any documentary? Like, if you don't know, like, okay, let's use a good example. Same director, the Fire Island documentary.
Yeah, I know. That was crazy to think. Like, when I look through, he's done all of that. Like,
but see, the difference with that, or I mean, he didn't direct it, but he was one of the creators or the producer of the Tiger King. But the difference with that is the thing has already happened, and now you make a documentary, so you can build in your big plot points and reveals at different moments, so you can create a structure. Mm-hmm. Whereas with this, when you're joining someone and you don't know what's going to happen, you kind of don't know where the big beats are going to be. And I guess this is ultimately the big thing that it builds up to is his film getting a screening. That's the culminating thing. And if something else happened along the way, fine. But you can't fake it. You know, you kind of
just got to be there with a camera and film everything.
And that's why I guess it becomes just a super cool character study of this guy and what he represents and what he's committed to and doing.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with all of that. I'm not knocking him. I just do think it was the element that, if we're being critical about it and trying to talk about it in a bigger scale, what takes it above everything else that we've watched in a documentary style? What actually separates this from everything else? Again,
what resonates with you?
If I watched it on the side, I'd be like, yeah, that was cool. He's like, good for him. We need more people like
I'll tell you.
But like,
I'll tell you the reason why it does fail. Objectively, the reason why it fails as a documentary is exactly this. Because even though me and you, Paul, are saying because we like to make films and we've done that before in the past, that's why we like it more. A good documentary or a good film should be able to connect to people who have no interest in the thing. And Adam at least has an interest, but he's still like not 100%.
I just think that what separates this, like what we're obviously going to sit down and talk about it in a critical fashion with why we're sitting here, and Julio's brought it to the thing, and it's like, yeah, we could talk about it as a matter of facts, but beyond that, I don't think there is much more that separates this from everything else, in my opinion.
I don't have anything to say to that.
It's stone cold, hard Adam facts.
I enjoyed it. It's a good documentary. I might just say it now to like help my point, but I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Like that's where it sits for me. It's like good. It's whatever, but it's
well, that's what it is. It's. I think it is just whether it resonates with you or not, and that is the strongest thing that's going to have going for it. But talking about in general, it's just kind of a fascinating, as you said, a character study of how this guy navigated making films. And I was surprised, like how at times how professional it all looked. Like if I'm going out to make my own independent film, I'm not going to have any kind of real crew with me or anything like that. It's
the editing system he had, it must cost him an absolute fortune. That must have been where his $3,000 had gone.
But yeah, exactly. He raised some cash. He raised some serious cash for it.
Yeah.
I guess to be able to do it. And he was filming it over time, don't forget. So he would have been incrementally raising money and then stopping filming for 6 months, raising money, stopping filming for 6 months. And that's how I've been doing my latest film. We started filming it last February, and then we broke for like 7-8 months, started filming again, broke, we're going to film again. And and we're not spending anywhere near as much money, but we've got this reserves of money that we're just slowly having to pull together, and we're like, okay, that's how much we're going to need to get that next bit in the bank.
I think it says something as well that like we come here like this is an American movie, the making of Northwestern, but it isn't the making of Northwestern. It's about making his short little horror film that his mum was filming, and he's got his uncle to do voiceovers in and actually star in it. Yeah. The Northwestern never got made. That's the actual.
That was his next step.
That is the actual crew and everything that was coming with that film, where we don't see that with any of the other films, which is where the real passion actually ends up. Really,
it's interesting that he wanted to make that Northwestern film because it was so drastically different, or it seemed to be drastically different to the horror film he was making, because it wasn't a horror and it was more about this guy. It was essentially the story of Uncle Bill that he was telling with Northwestern, and he never got to tell that story. So the way he told it accidentally was through American movie by having Uncle Bill on camera.
And I do agree with you. I think the fact that watching him make this movie would be better than actually the film he produced.
100%.
Like that,
100%.
it's more fascinating. There's more story. There's more reality, and it's true. And again, you need 100. If everyone was like this, the world would be a much better place.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And also him making films back then in '99 was much more pure and like good-hearted. Like he's not cynically making that film. He wants to make that film. He believes in that film, even if it's shit, and we haven't seen it. Even if it's shit, he believes in that film. Whereas people who make the stuff like even things like Sharknado that have big budgets, imitation things of that are crap nowadays because they're just too easy. It's cynical. People phone
And also,
it
like
in
the
and they
shit
move
CGI
on.
really can either hold it back or like make it. But like, when
There's
you
no
don't have
love.
that,
There's no love.
Yeah.
They're not doing it for the love of the filmmaking.
And
They're
like you
doing
kept
it
saying,
for content.
He could not work his 9-to-5 job. He would just kill himself, and you're like, good for you. Like,
I know.
good for you.
But there he was, working the fucking funeral, working the
because
church.
he was using that though to use the graveyard as a film set, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he also had to hold it down as a job, right?
Yeah, I know,
he was
but
going
like,
in
he's
there.
getting he's got his. It's all if it's not linked to his film, he don't give a shit. Whereas if it's slightly linked to his film, he's like, okay, I can put up with this bullshit for.
To be devil's advocate, if you want to interrogate this man, though, from an outsider's point of view, you could say this guy he's not a terrible individual, but he has many kids that he seemingly says that he loves, but his girlfriend doesn't think so because she wants to take them away. And this guy is struggling for money, and instead of spending it on the kids, he wants to spend it on the film, or he wants to spend it on scratch cards, or he wants to spend it on alcohol. So yes, it's super cool that he wants to make this film, but on the flip side, by doing that,
he's fucking everyone
these
around.
things are suffering.
Yes.
But also, and his best mate said, "I'm pretty sure he'll be a serial killer at one point."
I think that was his brother, but
Was it his brother? Okay, I can't remember who they all were.
he did say that, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like, "I'm sure this guy. He's so obsessed with all this stuff that like."
Yeah.
If he can't make it, he's going to go so real and so over the top that it's going to like put someone's life in harm.
But there's also a joy in just the simplicity of these people. Like one of our first kind of moments with him is when he's going through all his bills and he's saying like how in the red he is, and then he gets this MasterCard and he's like, oh wow, look.
Yeah.
Life can be amazing sometimes, kind of thing. It's just like, it's quite sweet.
Looking at that now, maybe in '99 it's different, but like if you get a credit card now and you're sent through the post, you're like, they're just sucking you into this system, man.
Of course.
Like that, it was almost like he could have actually been saying that as a sarcasm, but I do think he was genuinely excited. To
He
have a
was
credit
genuine
card.
at that time.
He was
yeah.
excited.
But like,
yeah.
There was almost a way you could look at it on the other end of being like, oh yeah, look how life, all these bills, and I can now put it in this credit card, and then I can be in debt to these people instead of these people.
Yeah. He's a very charming motherfucker, though. Yeah. Like, even when he's seemingly being stupid about things, you're with him a lot, even despite all the things.
His best friend stories, man, about his drugs and all that kind of stuff. Like,
so he is, to go back to what you two said at the beginning.
Person. That is not.
So genuinely, when this film started, in the first 10, 15 minutes, particularly when he turned up, Mike Shank, who's dead now, R.I.P. He passed away. He had cancer. I was like, said to Jenny, I don't think this is real anymore.
Yeah,
and
that's
what I don't want to.
It was so jarring that it takes you out of the documentary style. And you're like, is everything here now fake?
That's it. But I didn't want to stop and find out. I said, let's go all the way through, and afterwards we'll find out, and we'll see if the documentary
you
tells
said it's
us.
actually a documentary beforehand. If I thrown this on, then I'd.
Yeah, but I just knew that from a sweeping thing. I didn't know for sure. I know that it's just called a documentary. But I mean, it is. I think as you're watching it, you realise it has to be real because there are too many like the things you're saying, Adam. If it was a mockumentary, they would stage a lot more big things or inciting things and whatnot. But the things that happen are just so normal slice of life shit. Yeah. Like you couldn't script half of the shit that's said and done in this.
The thing is, I feel like Mike's character it doesn't feel real because he's clearly the inspiration for so many characters that have been put into films. Because
that's true. That could be true.
It just like Silent Bob or something like that. It's some kind of like stoner character who just stands next to the main character. Just sits there. He's almost like the comedy sidekick.
But I've never been to Wisconsin or what they call it. Is it Middle America? Like in a weird, there's a part of me that would love to go to these like one horse towns and just hang out and just see how life is, because watching it on all these shows, it seems so weird. But that person probably exists. Everybody probably in those areas probably knows somebody like him, and that person isn't just a one-off. All these other people have made these characters in these documentaries, in these films, because these people are just everywhere, probably in that part of America.
But the thing as well is, it almost feels like you can fill in the blanks of the history of this guy, because he's clearly like just taken drugs and drunk his whole life. But he even told the story of when he was clinically dead.
Yeah,
because of the drugs he took.
Good story.
And it's like, has this guy like not had oxygen to his brain or something, and he's turned into this person? It's like,
and then he was like,
how has this man been made?
And then he was like, and then a couple of years later, I stopped taking drugs. It wasn't even like the next day. He just carried on for a couple more years and was like, "Now I'm sober."
But like the whole awkwardness of him having, I got a winning lottery ticket, and he's like, I'm not going to tell anyone. He's like,
well, his little laugh
laughing
after everything that he says is, it's amazing. But think about some of the oddball characters in your life, and think if this person was in a documentary, someone else would be like, this guy can't be real.
Yeah.
Think of Mike Skipper, for example. Him in a documentary, you'd be like, this guy can't be real.
Yeah.
There is another guy there is a guy who is very funny, and I'm not going to be able to describe it exactly, but it's real early on in the documentary. He's on the bed and he's calling up, talking about the casting call for this new film. I don't even know what the guy's involvement is. He's in the film for like 5 minutes overall, but at the end of every sentence, he keeps raising his eyebrows. Do you know who I mean?
I know who you mean, yeah.
It's almost like he's nervous when he gets to the end of his sentence and the eyebrows go up.
He's like, isn't he calling people to cast them in the town or something?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Matt Wiseman, he is. And funnily enough, if you go and look at his image on Letterboxd, his cast image, it is the exact moment I'm talking about, with his eyes raised and he's on the phone in the bed.
I've got to go look now.
Yeah, I mean, it's why it is those parts that make it interesting, but at the same time,
it's character study, though, man. That's what it is. It's character study, and that's what makes it interesting. I agree. It's not a 10 out of 10 film for me either, as someone who likes filmmaking, because I think the big criticism is that there is a fictional film that did documentary filmmaking better than this actual documentary, and we covered it in this very year. But I think it's fascinating that in the same year, Blair Witch Project and this come out, and the thing that's at the heart of both of them, and this is what's important, is independent filmmaking, the heart of the fucking filmmaker, the power of creativity, the strength of those who want to go into the creative arts. There is nothing more depressing than those who don't have a creative bone in their body. I mean, I feel sorry for those people. I really do. Yeah.
And it's just a lovely little moment at the end as well. After all these people like have shot him down and ridiculed him for putting all his time into making this film, and then he actually has the premiere, and there's just a massive queue of people outside.
Yeah, I know.
So many people there.
I couldn't believe there was that queue, but
also again, he's probably made this for so long, gone to so many people. If they're putting up actor auditions in the town hall and in the drum groups and all that kind of stuff,
it's a community
affair. It's going to build it, and then when it comes, if that was like the only screening of it or whatever,
and
everybody's going to go.
What we didn't see, obviously, is that town being told they're making a big fucking documentary about this. So if you want to get in that documentary, get down there for this film tonight. Yeah.
That is true. Yeah. So it could have been the sway of the. But at the same time, it's like the director of this film. I didn't actually name drop him at the beginning.
He's done so many big documentaries afterwards.
Mainly Netflix ones, interestingly, though.
Yeah.
Mainly straight to Netflix.
Chris Smith. It just feels like I imagine is like what is the history of this guy? Is this his first thing?
Who? Chris Smith.
I'm going to look.
But was he famous
I would
before
check.
He did this, or did this make him like that name?
It was his first thing. He did another one called American Job beforehand, but he released that after.
It feels like Chris is one of his mates.
It's possible. I don't know.
And he's the real one who got out of making, like, he's the one who made it famous from this documentary.
Yeah. He looks like a wild guy as well.
He does. But I appreciate this guy. There is a video online you can find of him on YouTube, which is like his message to creatives, and it's like filmed like a year ago, and it's so fucking inspirational. The main guy.
Okay.
The main guy,
That's
Mark
good. I'll watch
Borchardt.
that.
So fucking inspirational for creators because it's just like,
Yeah, I get
you
it.
know.
He is an inspirational person, but I just, it's good to watch. I just try to work out why this is the film as big as it is. But yeah.
I understand, but you're not going to, man.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
resonates with someone, and that's
Yeah,
it. If it's not
I
a
think
10 for
everything's
you,
there as well.
that's-
It's not like something you can think about and dive in
It's
afterwards
unspoken.
and go, you
Yeah.
get it, you don't get it, and that's how it works.
the energy, the vibe, what he was doing is perfect. And I think there is a big tragedy at the heart of the thing, which is that
It's sad he's only really made one film in that whole time since.
Well, I'm sure he probably goes and does a Tommy Wiseau type thing at a bunch of independent cinemas with whenever American movie. I bet American movie goes to loads of independent cinemas and he pops up.
Oh yeah, you know it.
I think he deserves to pop up more than Tommy Wiseau does someday.
Yeah, but like even then, you know, it's the Tommy Wiseau thing, which is like, you know, I hate people who are like critical or pissy or like, oh, the room is terrible and whatnot. It's like, yeah, but that's not the point. The point is these people didn't set out to make bad movies. They set out with their hearts on their sleeve, and the reality is they're not fucking getting fame because the movie's brilliant. They're getting fame because of the story around it. So there's no need to feel bad about it. There is a million one fucking Hollywood films that coming out every year, and you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, that suck, that have shitloads of money invested and pumped into them, that I don't, that offends me that we praise that shit. I would much rather champion this guy to go out and do what he did, simply because his heart's in the right fucking place doing it.
And there's an individual behind it.
It's almost like what filmmaking should be. It is people with a dream and a vision, and it's like they've almost got the one big film in their lives that they're always thinking about this film. They're not going, okay, I made that one now. Let's see what else I can make and make the next one. It's like that is your story. Like that is what you were designed to.
If you were going to make a film, Adam, and you had one story that you had to tell, what would the story be?
Oh God.
Same question for you, Paul.
Big superhero film. Joking.
No, come on now.
I mean, I do something stupid like my granddad's life. I think it's quite fascinating, but then that's not really my film. That's like be a documentary.
It is if you make it.
I know, but it's again,
make it what you can, man.
I was thinking like more of like the film that you're making at the moment, that kind of story out there.
Yeah, well, and that's why I'm doing it. I got to get them out.
Yeah, good.
There's too much fucking distraction. Me and my friend Matt, always the way we motivate ourselves to get behind the camera and go out and do it is we're always like, fucking work is always there. It's never going anywhere. There's always going to be these other things, these other commitments. We got to do this. We got to do it.
And it's always that thing
always
of
like
like
such a breath of fresh air when
die,
you do.
you're not going to remember all your working days. You remember those days making that film.
Exactly.
Indeed. I mean, I wrote a script for a film when I was quite young, and it involved all my brother and his friends, and it was more like a drama more than anything, and it was just going through different genres of film and basically in the imagination of these kids, and it was always one that I was aiming to do. I planned so many times to do it, and by the time it was any chance of me actually doing it, everyone grown up and they weren't children anymore,
and they didn't want to do it. They got busy
and they didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Then you made a
just passed me
podcast
by.
instead.
That's why you just got to do it. When you want to do something, you just got to do it.
So instead, I just made a horror film instead. I just made multiple horror films because it's easier to make.
Yeah.
I think there is an element of like horror is quite an easy genre to start around.
It is.
But it's very hard to execute.
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you don't necessarily need a real strong storyline in a horror as long as the horror parts are good.
Exactly. And you just need to know
But to
what
get the
you're
horror
doing.
parts good, it's the hard part.
Execute the feeling.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because it's the first documentary that we've done.
Yes.
Ever. And documentaries are interesting because like you can't really talk about story and craft and whatnot. You have to discuss it in a different way. But I think, if you were going to sell this to someone, how would you sell it?
It's just a real passion project for that filmmakers will love, amateur filmmakers. And it's not like you're going to get some big twists and turns along the way. It's just a feeling, and you either resonate with it or you don't. And I feel that's just it.
Yeah. There's a lot of tragedy in it, which is what I think I enjoy. Is but like because it's not, to use a bad example, One Cut of the Dead, which second half showcases the joy, just the unbridled joy and fun of.
Yeah.
I'm spoiling that film slightly there, but out of context, I don't think it does. Shows just that big old joy of making a film with people. This is kind of like, it is a joyful thing, but it feels very tortured artist all the way through it, because there is a lot of work and struggle and effort that is actually involved in doing it, because you do want it to be good. So you don't just want it to be shit, even if it does turn out shit. So you do want other people to buy into your vision. You do need a bit of money. You do need to go against adverse circumstances. And the fact that he doesn't get to tell Northwestern is the great tragedy, because that is what his whole thing is. He's railing against the idea of these men just turning into these old men sat in front of their rusted trailers as the sun sets on their lives. He's like, I don't want that. And Northwestern is his film that's going to encapsulate that. Yeah. And that's how he's going to project it to the world. And he just can't get it out. And it's kind of tragic.
It's strange that it's never happened, isn't it? It's like you imagine Chris Smith would at least like if this is one of his biggest things he's ever done. And he's made.
I know, but feature film's a huge commitment, isn't it? To actually make a feature film and do it properly. Like, he was making a fucking horror short.
Yeah.
To get a feature film out with, significant moments in it, that's big.
Yeah, it's true. I guess, Chris was clearly like, well, it's not really about the film. It's about the making of the film. That's the interesting part.
And it's just, that's the fun. The fun is in it. Whenever anything in life, I look forward to leading up to the thing almost as much, if not sometimes more, than the thing itself. Because the planning, the anticipation, the doing, we're going to do this, it's a good thing, because you've got direction and this thing is going to happen. And then when the thing's happening, you're in it and you're present and enjoying doing the thing, but you're also, if it's a film, you're working, you're doing it. And then when it's done, it's like a kind of crash. So then you want to build up enough time again before you get to that next point, so you can get your enthusiasm, your energy revving again.
What do you think this film could have done? I know obviously it's reality, so you can't really change much, but what do you think it could have done to elevate it a little bit for you?
I don't think it could have done anything. That's the problem, because the style of the film had to just be observational. So the only way you can change it is by saying, well, of course, if Uncle Bill had died halfway through the film and it had taken on a bit more of a tragic spin and Mark had spiraled a little bit, or if Mike had died from a drug overdose, like taking death away, we could have maybe looked a little bit more at his actual relationship with his dad, his actual relationship with his estranged partner. Like, why was that so fractured? But it wasn't about that. It really was about the making of the movie despite everything.
Maybe even it was a little bit, tiny bit more likable.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not that he's unlikable. It's just that he's the kind of person that if he walked into a room with me, I'd very quickly walk out of it.
Yeah. You resonate with what he's doing, not with the man himself.
Yeah, although the truth is, I think he's so intelligent. He comes across, like, on first glance, because of the way he looks and how sort of loud he is and brash, you think, oh, you're a bit of an idiot. How am I going to sit with you for an hour and 40 now? But very quickly you realise he's very intellectual. He can frame an argument brilliantly, and he can say things in a very unique way. Like there's he's not writing his own scripts. He's literally just saying it. And there's that moment where he sat down and they're talking about not having been able to film a little bit from Coven, and he's like, no one's ever paid admission to see an excuse. No one's ever looked at a black screen that said, well, if we had this set of circumstances, we would have shot this scene, so forgive us and use your imagination. It's like, that's very articulate.
It's quite inspirational, what he's coming out with. Yeah, definitely.
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
And that video, 100%, is that YouTube video is fantastic. We watched it immediately after the film, and it's true, because he's like, whenever you're struggling, whenever you're suffering, read a book, read some poetry, listen to a song, make some music, make a movie, go watch a movie, turn off TV, get outside. Don't focus on negativity. Find the creative people. They're out there. You may not know them. You may not know them when you see them, but they're there. So try, find them, connect.
Give a piece of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And creativity connects people longer than I think just normal relationships does. You could say the three of us would not have maintained if it wasn't for the podcast. I like to think we would, but we'll never know because the podcast has been there as a sort of support structure throughout all these many, many years.
Yeah, it keeps us in contact, keeps us speaking regularly.
It gives you something else to do together, which is fun.
Yeah.
As opposed, because the alternative is we need to arrange to meet up. And men being men, which is terrible, we're never just going to go like, oh, let's jump on a Zoom call and talk to one another.
Yeah, of course.
It's just not going to happen, is it?
For sure.
And these are the people you've got to take with you in life, people. It's these kindred spirits, these souls, because you don't want to lose them.
I never want to lose you.
No, I don't want to lose you. But this is what I'm saying, that like we travel together because we found each other through these creative things. Yes, we came together through work. We bonded over a shared love of many things, and now we have a creative endeavor that we move on with together.
We have a little baby.
These ones are strong.
Little baby together.
No, I was saying yeah. That was an affirmative.
That sounded like ugh.
It's because I had something in my tooth. I should have had my floss pick so I could get it out.
That's beautiful. Your inspiration was Mark.
Anyway, I loved Uncle Bill. That's the main thing that I take from this film.
Yes,
Uncle Bill,
yes.
Every time he was on screen, I was like, I love this.
He does feel like the reason for this film.
Yeah.
Like he just feels like the focus on him is there for a reason, and it resonates with you at the end when it's like he died. It's like this is the man who really got this film made with all his money.
Even though he was like, I couldn't give a shit.
And believe, yeah. Well, you'd say that, but there was clearly some belief there because he also left the money to Mark as well. Even though the film never got
that's
made.
Family, I know, that's true. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he would have to be he'd be a massive dickhead if he didn't. Like in death, like, no, I'm not giving you any money. What are you going to do with it? This is literally the only guy who's coming to you and getting money. I know.
Yeah. His dad wouldn't give him any money.
No.
So there's
there's
something about the grouchiness, but also that he has been there for Mark that makes him so lovable.
Yeah, and also the fact that Mark doesn't want him to just shrivel up and die. That's why he's getting him involved in it. He's trying to shake him out of it and be like, come on, let's do this.
And there's something so beautiful about him saying this line so many times and trying to nail it, and then seeing the clips of the film at the end and seeing the actual film that he's hanging out the side of a car. And he's actually they got him on camera doing that. It was great.
Yeah. I mean, it's a joyful thing. It's we need people like this out there doing that thing. There's a cynicism that comes with life as you get older to be like, well, you should be fucking saving up money so you don't have to live in your mum and dad's house at 38 or however old it was. But yeah, I mean, if you want to take that side of things, that's the opposite argument. If you've got the people who don't like the arty life, the creative life, would be like, well, yeah, he's living with his folks, but he's got kids that he can't support. He's in debt. He's drinking and he's gambling. This guy sucks.
This film ain't for you.
Yeah. If you got told, Julio was like, guys, I'm going to give you this documentary and that's what it's about. It's a guy living with his parents. He's in debt. He's not supporting his kids in the way that he should. And he's an alcoholic and he's a gambler. You'd be like, well, this guy sounds like a piece of shit. And then you watch the film and you see him doing his magic and you're like, okay, we need people like this in the world. Texture, it matters. Don't judge people on first impressions.
Context.
Yes.
Speaking of Julio, do you want to hear what he had to say?
Oh, he sent us some thoughts. Yeah, let's hear it.
I got a little thought from him.
Hello, Filmbusters. Here's Julio to talk a little bit of American movie. I am so excited that you guys are doing this on the show. It's one of my favorite movies ever. But I know that there's a chance that at least one of you may not like it, just because I've run into people that felt the movie was, for some, it was too intense, which I guess I understand, right? Like if you're not all in on Mark's journey, it can put you off maybe the level of intensity with which he pursues his goals. And I've seen some people who think the movie is making fun of him, that the movie is just kind of pointing and laughing at him with the pretense of following that journey. I don't think that's the case. I don't think so. I think that there's a lot of comedy, unintentional and intentional in the movie, but I think that through it all, I feel like the movie is mostly showing empathy and understanding of what he's going through. Honestly, I feel like I pass more judgment on Mark and some of the characters than the movie does. But it's been a while since I've seen the movie, so maybe not. I mean, I need to rewatch it, but I'll be curious if any of you feel that way. I don't. I've seen the movie, like I said, several times, and I think that there's been an evolution in how I feel about Mark and the movie. Whereas like before, when I was younger, I watched it mostly to laugh because I thought it was just so entertaining and so funny to see this guy that, you know, not to be, again, too judgmental, but I don't think he's not what you would think of when it comes to a talented filmmaker or so, right? Like he's a guy he wants to make this epic movie, and at least based on what we see in the movie, it doesn't feel like he has what it takes to do that, right? He might not even have what it takes to do the short that he decides to do as a step into getting the movie. But then if the movie proves anything, if that is a talent aside, right? He has a determination. He gets it done, and that it eventually, as you get older and you watch the movie again and again, that becomes a primary feeling. As I watched it, I was like, my God, this guy has more grit than I do. Right, he's getting this shit done. Now, could you also point out that, but in the process, what is happening to the rest of his life? Yes, you can, and you probably should. But that's interesting to juggle those two feelings, those two perspectives. Is Mark overall a good parent? Is Mark overall a good friend? I think that the movie lets you wrestle with those questions yourself, and that's fascinating. I love the supporting cast. Mike, what's his last name? Mike Shank, R.I.P. He's great. Now I can tell you he's a good friend, at least based on what we see in the movie. And then of course the Uncle Bill, right? He seems to be ultimately, I think the movie proves that he was one of the few people that truly believed in Mark. It's a wonderful movie. If you're into filmmaking, if you have ever done anything related to filmmaking, I think it hits you a little bit harder. And I hope that you found a way to watch Coven, because it's like 10 minutes, I think, and it feels like it's part of the journey. You spend so much time watching the struggle to get Coven done, and then to not watch it would be a shame. I don't know if Mark ever went on to make other movies. I didn't follow his career that much, but I know that he popped up as kind of like a talking head in some of those old VH1 specials where they would get celebrities to give their opinions about pop culture. So him and Mike would show up. So there was life after American Movie. Final word, Chris Smith. I think he's a great documentarian. I've seen a handful of his other docs, and I've always enjoyed them. So if you ever see a documentary and it says it's done by Chris Smith, I strongly recommend you watch it. But that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed the movie, or at least you found the conversation interesting. I'll talk to you again soon.
That man knows exactly what he's saying. He said it all.
I know.
Said all our thoughts.
We didn't need to say anything.
No.
Did you take against his intensity?
No. It just added that layer to his character. It just showed that passion to us of someone who's dedicated to getting this film made. I think it was a level to his character that we needed to see.
I do think that it is. It will distance people immediately in the documentary. It will split people straight away who either are with him or aren't with him, because the first 5 minutes I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about this guy. But it is a case of judging on first impressions and how because he was just talking he loved the sound of his fucking voice. That was the thing. He loved the sound of his own voice, like me. And I was like, you need to just stop talking, like me.
But then, when you learn more about this person and you see the real passion in their words, like you, then you kind of grow to love and appreciate what they're doing, like you.
That makes you Mike then. And you do have a funny little laugh all the time as well, so you are him. No, I'll tell you what, Julio's question there that we didn't talk about, I think I know for definite the answer to that. But he says, is he a good friend? I actually think he's a great friend. I think he's really very sweet with Mike, because Mike, best will in the world, Mike's a nice guy, but he's what Mark does not want to be. Like someone who, even though Mark drinks and whatnot, he does not want to be drinking, drugging, and doing nothing. He wants to be doing something.
Bit of a lemming.
He's bringing Mike in. He's bringing him into the story because he wants him to be doing something and be part of it. And he's very sweet with him as well. Several times he says things like, "Oh, there's your smile. I was waiting to see your smile. It's lifted my day," and all that kind of thing. I think he was a good friend. I don't think we ever saw a time when he was taking advantage of Mike or any of the people that he was working with, right?
We can only read between the lines in the fact that Mike was saying he's not going to tell Mark about the scratch card he won because he'll want the money.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But it's like, don't tell the documentary crew either, mate. Just keep your mouth closed. Don't say nothing.
But there's something beautiful as well, the fact that Mike is actually the one who scored this film.
I know.
His music.
Yeah, it's very lovely.
Yeah, that's a nice little touch.
Yeah.
He did have his own kind of passion there, and
he did.
He was able to put it out in this film.
Although, actually, okay, maybe that was one time when Mark didn't really seem like a great friend. He was saying to Mike, like, "You are just ripping off Black Sabbath. This music is not yours. This is not original." And Mike's like, "Yeah, well, there is no originality. Like, everyone borrows from someone." And he's like, "No, man, you're just doing exactly the same thing." That was kind of dickish.
Yeah. Scott, let him do his thing, man. At least he's doing it.
He's doing it. But yeah, it goes to show that just because you love something and you're committed to doing it doesn't mean that it's good. It's just good for you.
Yes. It's good for the soul. Get out there. You have this burning passion inside.
Like this podcast.
Exactly. Just get it out there. You need to give a bit of yourself to the world, you know? You can't just let it boil up inside.
You can't be fucking Adam, Uncle Bill over there going, he is Uncle Bill. How have we not made that? That's it. He's Uncle Bill, man.
There we go. We've made the three.
We're dragging him along. We're like, come on, we got to do this. I'm not doing it anymore.
Can't even say his lines properly.
Yeah, exactly. Can't get the words out.
Jesus.
I've had enough. Where's my dinner? It was funny when he turned up and he got pissed on the peppermint schnapps, and Mark was giving him the bath and everything. And Mark was a lot of the funniest moments in the movie, Mark was laughing as well. That's how that's how it isn't a case of you laughing at him. You were laughing with him at the same time. That was nice.
Yeah.
I'm very glad. I'm very glad to have seen it. I probably would have never watched this movie because it doesn't even look appealing from the outside. Very delighted to have watched it and for it to resonate for us on such a personal level because of what we do as well.
Yeah, very an intriguing one, and absolutely glad Julio brought it to the podcast. Right, should we score it?
Score it.
Okay, I'm going for the solid 8.
You're going for the solid 8. I'm going for the solid 8. Like I said, I can't really, it's just about the people maybe, but at the same time, it was so curious because the people were the way they were that it was interesting.
Absolutely.
I find it hard to say why it isn't a 9 or a 10. I just didn't absolutely fucking love it. I didn't feel super inspired. I had to go to that YouTube video and get inspired by him. But when watching the film, I was like, good for you. But I wasn't like, I'm fired up. If anything, I was like, yeah, that looks like a lot of effort, man. I'm not sure I want to do that.
See, it made me fired up a bit when seeing him smashing the guy's head through the cupboard door and having to cut the door up and just
that poor fucking guy, man.
Yeah, the efforts you have to go to get this shot.
I was thinking this could end so badly because that's an actual door, and if you smash his head through there and a jut of wood goes into his neck, you could kill this man. I was thinking, fuck, this is going to end badly. All right, well, anyway, so 7.66, Paul. It rounds up to 7.7. First.
But don't forget Julio's 10 out of 10.
Oh, shit. Yeah, of course. So it goes higher. 8.25.
Look at that.
All right, well, come on then. So it's going up against Once. Once, for me, is a better film for
this
reasons
beats
already
Once.
discussed. What did Adam give Once?
This
he
might-
gave Once a 7.
Oh, shit, son. Right, as you might have guessed, everyone, Adam isn't actually here, so we have to kind of make an educated guess as to what he would choose. And what do you think, Ben?
Oh, I mean, he loves music, right? So he's going to pick Once over American Movie.
I would say so. So is that it? It just finishes there.
That's where it finishes.
Bottom of the 8.3s. There we go.
Nothing
This
to
is
sniff at, though.
They're still high, man.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
high. Yeah.
He could be very proud. And, I mean, to be honest, it's only because Once gets so much personal love. Like, Sean gives it the 10. I very much fucking love that. You liked it very much as well. It's a hard one. It's got a lot of heart and soul. It has that independent spirit, but for music.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tricky one. They both got their independent flares in different ways.
Why are we doing it for Adam anyway, Paul?
Because Adam just decided that his work was more important than his friends.
Yep.
He didn't want to stick around and do the independent stuff. He wanted to go for the big corporate stuff instead.
Yeah. Mark would hate him. We talked about him being Uncle Bill. We did this gag.
Oh, do you know what actually has happened? He is the Uncle Bill, and he has died. He's no longer
Yes.
here.
R.I.P.
dead.
Bill. But Adam has left us all of his shekels, so at least we have the shekels that he had.
To continue this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? We got to do this without Adam now. We've got to wrap up 99.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, man. Totally forgot about that bit. Yes, we do. So let me bring up my things. Not that I really need the notes for this bit, but
You normally head up this bit, so I'll let you take the reins.
All right. Well, did Adam send us any of his clips for this?
No, he didn't. But he's basically
little junkie.
He's dead. He's dead now.
Oh, well, okay. He's always crap at this bit anyway. All right, then, Paul. Let's go. Let's do best character first and foremost from 1999.
Well, this is something that Adam did mention, so we could bring this up, and it is Mike from American Movie. He told us that.
He did say that.
And I almost, in a way, I'm going to agree with him. I just think he's such a strangely real character that doesn't feel real, and I think he's really fascinating.
Isn't it interesting that you go with Mike rather than Mark?
I know. Well, Mike is by far the more interesting character, I feel. He's just like in a what kind of way?
He's an intriguing character.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, I also say Mike.
I know. Yes, go on.
And you know the gag. Not this Mike. Yeah, Mike from Blair Witch Project. He was my good time buddy when I was a little boy. He was my mate.
Yeah.
And he still is. I like Mike.
I can see it
from
coming.
Blair Witch Project.
Of course, Blair Witch Project had to be done.
Yeah. He kicked that fucking map into the creek.
He was useless.
He was useless. Kicked that fucking map into the creek. Best line, Paul.
The best line for me, and it comes with an iconic close-up shot with the tears and snot and all. And it's,
yes,
I'm scared to close my eyes. I'm scared to open them. I think that's just a wonderful line.
Possibly the most Hollywood line in that whole film as well, though.
It works well.
It does. It does.
Blair Witch Project, everyone, if you haven't guessed.
Yeah. There are many lines from Blair Witch Project which I just love inside. Just silly things like, I kicked that fucking map into the creek. That map was used. There's so many things which are just great. Are you not scared enough? Most of it coming from Mike. But I'm going to go with our friend Mark from today's episode because I really love that. No one has ever paid admission to see an excuse. I love that line.
Oh, that is, good. Very good line. Very good line, yeah.
Very good.
These two films going to get all the spoils this round?
Well, no, they're not, because I shall tell you my best scene from 1999. We go right back to the beginning. It's from Summer of Sam, and it is the moment when John Leguizamo and Mira Sorvino's character enter the club halfway through the film, and the dance floor's a little emptier because everyone's scared. of the Son of Sam killer, and they dance on the dance floor, and it's as I said at the time, loaded with sexual energy, loaded with just dripping with sex appeal and heat and fear at the same time, like dancing in the face of fear. I love it.
Yeah, it's a very solid scene, isn't it? Absolutely.
Very.
Yeah, great one.
Where you at?
I'm giving it to Blair Witch Project. And it's more for the fact just the whole soundscape of this scene as well, and it's when they're in the tent and when you hear the children's voices, and it's scary as fuck watching that at night with the headphones on, and it's just very, very well played, that scene, I think.
Look at that. So Blair Witch did get a lot from you.
It did. It got a lot from me. Yeah. I've got to say Adam actually chose the best line as the uncle.
Uncle
doing
Bill's
his little scene.
Yeah.
We can just say that was his best scene as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it would have been because he doesn't have a memory longer than half an hour. So
the last film.
Everything would have been. Yeah, I know. Foolish man. He's a foolish creature. And that brings us to the end of 1999, which even though we did have Any Given Sunday in there, I've got to say is probably the best year we've done. For me.
It's a very solid year. Very, very solid year. But do you know what you haven't said?
What?
If there's any themes throughout all these films.
I'll tell you one odd theme.
Yeah,
one odd theme that cuts across 3 or maybe 4 out of 5 of the 3 out of 5 of the films. 4 out of 5 of the films this theme cuts across. American football / the Super Bowl. You want to know why?
Go on. Does it?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Blair Witch Project. When Mike and Josh are going crazy towards the end and they are just shouting in the woods, they're shouting about a NFL player who is about to break a record and he won't get to see it because he's going to be lost in the woods.
Yes, good.
Number 2, in Cruel Intentions, the jock who sleeps with Joshua Jackson's character is an American football player. He's a quarterback.
Nice.
Any Given Sunday, American football. And in this, they get drunk and they watch the Super Bowl.
That's true.
At Mark's house.
Nothing in Summer of Sam, no?
No, but there is baseball, because remember they talk about Reggie Jackson.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
The black baseball player.
They were trying to pin on him.
They were.
Very good. Well, my theme was going to be young adults getting out there and just following their passions. I think that goes throughout everything. You have like Richie going to London to follow his dreams of all the punk bands, Cruel Intentions. They're just doing what they love, fucking over people, following their passions of fucking people over. Blair Witch, self-explanatory, going out there, making a film. Any Given Sunday, the football players, they have the passion for the game. And American movie, getting your movie made.
It's true.
It's all these young adults doing what they've got to do. Yeah.
Yeah. They were the glory days, man. I think 9/11 came along. I genuinely think this. I don't mean this in a I'm not belittling it. I think, in a flippant. That's what I mean. 9/11 came along, and then movies and movie making in Hollywood started taking themselves so fucking seriously, and thinking that they needed to. Well, I bet there's books written on this, but it felt like they were like, we have to make really serious American stories, or we have to do absolutely outlandish escapism stories. It feels like that space for in between went. But it's out there now, baby. It's out there. It's just about what you go and see. Independent cinema is alive. It's out there.
Claim it. Grab it. Watch it. Still there.
So where are we going next?
The next year, we have another wonderful patron who has said, "Hey, I want to give you a whole new round," and it's the round of 2009. We're going a whole 10 years
into the future. I feel like it's going to be bad.
But we're tackling a very interesting director. And just before we say what it is, it's Sean Pounder Nicholson. It's his whole round. He's inspired this round. And we're doing a Ben Wheatley film. And we've never tackled Ben Wheatley before, but, he's had some solid films, like Free Fire, Kill List, Meg 2, obviously.
No. Dear me.
A Field in England. You like that one?
Yeah, I like A Field in England. I do, yeah. But he's also had, Wheatley's, we'll talk about it in the episode, but he has done some Meg 2 aside, some stuff that I'm like, why are you doing this, man? Like he did High Rise, which I really didn't like. High Rise. I didn't really like Sightseers either.
I like Sightseers.
One of his best is a very unknown film, which was Happy New Year, Colin Burstead. Did you ever watch that? It came out on New Year's Day about 5-6 years ago.
No. I know I haven't seen it.
It's the guy from Kill List as well. That was very good.
Okay, interesting. Well, one good thing about this film, quite exciting, is that Michael Smiley's in it.
I don't really know anything about this Down Terrace.
Neither do I. That's why it's exciting. It looks, from the offset, it looks like a drama. From the poster, it looks like an action. I don't know. I could be anything, but I'm not going to look into it.
No, neither am I. We go back around blind. That's what we'll do.
We love it. We always love it. But that's Sean Pounder Nicholson. Thank you for inspiring this round, and that's where we're going next.
Thank you.
So, other than that, we're about to go and record a wonderful Patreon episode, which is our wonderful monthly roundups, which you can get for a mere £1. A mere £1 can get you an episode every month, as well as some bonus episodes we just throw to you as well. But
yes.
If you want to get them, you can get them at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, and you can become a patron, just like the likes of Tia from the Alien Effect podcast.
You can join Luke Bennett as well.
You can join Mr. Francis Ciberini.
And Stephen Mark from Lovely Movie Drone. Where are you? You're going to release something soon. I can feel it.
Oh, I feel it in my bones. I feel it. You can join Brent from Home Video Hustle.
You can join Mr. Luke Human as well.
You can join Sean Pounder Nicholson, who's inspiring the next round, and he's from 3 Men and a Mixtape.
Yes, and you can join our lovely Nerd Revert. Beautiful Nerd Revert. He's been with us since the beginning of the Patreon.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful, beautiful. And you can also join Julio from The Contrarians, who brought this episode to us.
Yeah, thank you, Julio, and we hope we did it justice. And you can also join Jamie Russell, who also joined us in this year with Blair Witch Project.
He did. Lovely movie duel, man. Go. You can become best friends with him over on our Patreon, or you can become best friends as well with Katie and Oti from For Your Referenced, in the heat of their Spike Lee round at the moment, which is wonderful stuff.
So there you go. That's all of them. And if you want to join them, join us right now on the Patreon for the end of month.
Hell yeah, baby.
Filmbusters.